you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. I am very honored because today is a very special day. It's my 300th episode of Chef AJ Live. And I thank you so much for watching the show, but it's also Veterans Day. And I just have a special place in my heart for people that have served the country. I've never been in the military myself, but my family has, and starting from my grandfather to all my uncles to my father. And these are people that actually enlisted. They weren't drafted, they were older at the time. And I just want to thank everybody who's ever been in the military, whether they're vegan or not, for their service. But I also want to, I'm just nervous a little bit today. I've never had a show with this many people. If you watch the show regularly, you know that on the 4th of July, I interviewed Sergeant Vegan. Bill Muir is his name, and he's going to be actually hosting for me today. I'm going to be monitoring the chat. And I noticed that people that are veterans, they serve the country, or people in the military, they're serving the country. But people that are vegan, they're not just protecting the country, they're actually protecting the planet by their choices. And when people are in the armed forces, they're protecting human life. But when they're vegan, they're still protecting human life, including their own and the animals. So I find that there's a correlation. So we're going to get to know some of these extraordinary people. Some of them you may know from the plant-based world. Some of them will be new to you. But it's just my greatest honor and my pleasure to interview a group of extraordinary people. And again, from the bottom of my heart, even if you're not vegan, anybody in the military, I thank you for your service. And I'm going to turn it over now to Sergeant Bill.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bill Muir, AKA Sergeant Vegan. So first, a little bit about what the idea of the show came about. So pre-COVID, I had an idea of assembling a crack team of vegan veterans, someone from every branch of service, to travel around America, talking about veganism, talking about their service, talking about how we were going to save America through healthy eating, saving the environment through not destroying it via animal agriculture, saving animals via not killing them. That, of course, because of COVID, has changed to having to do everything online. And I thought, hey, what better way to get everyone together and do a similar thing now that we're social distancing than doing it via Zoom? So that's the Vegan Veterans Program, and doesn't matter who has the yellow around them. Am I being broadcast okay?
Yep, you're big. And
Okay.
Just so you know, one of the things we want to say is we believe we have everybody from every branch of the armed forces, our Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, Marines. We think we've covered it all.
So let's start off, before we even do names and introduction of your name and what you do. Let's first start raise of hands. Who is from the Army? Army? So 2 from the Army. Okay. Let's go Navy. 1 from the Navy. Marine Corps. Marine Corps. Air Force. Air Force. Coast Guard.
Jim Hicks is from the Coast Guard. He's just, his camera's not on for some reason. Jim Hicks is Coast Guard.
Jim,
yeah, I'm Coast Guard. I couldn't hear you for a second. You went blank.
Sorry about that. I will use my outdoor voice from now on.
Yeah, and you know, Corinne Sutton is also, he's Marine, correct? He's not in. I'm going to try to contact him, see if we can get him on the show.
We're missing one. So, hey, we have everybody represented, all branches of services, except maybe Merchant Marines. Do they count? I don't really know. Sometimes I would say, I'm going to go with the no, sorry.
They're not armed forces.
Yes, sorry, Merchant Marines. Though it does say Marine in the name. That's kind of cool. Okay, so we'll start off just your name and what you do. Then we're going to go around and talk about service. Then we'll do veganism after that, and then we'll mix it all in and how your service relates to your veganism. So, hi, my name's Bill. I work for the VA. I'm an RN. And next to Doug, we'll just go around like that.
Hi, my name is Doug. I do HVAC in lovely Hot, Arizona, and I am former Navy.
Okay, next to Dr. Laurie.
Hi, I'm Dr. Laurie Marbas. I am a physician. I served in the Air Force and founder of Plant-Based Telehealth, which is the first national practice for telemedicine.
And then next to Marina.
Hi, I'm Marina Kerr. I currently am an IT product manager working on workspace for employees all over the globe.
Next to Faith. Mr.
Hello,
Scott.
my
It's
name is
me.
I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, Faith Scott is actually Will Scott, so I'm going to
sorry.
change the name on the thing.
To Will Scott, sorry. It says Faith on it.
I'm going to change it right now.
No problem, sir. I'm Will Scott. I'm currently a maintenance and administrative supply technician for the United States Army Reserves, and glad to be here.
And next to Jim Hicks.
Yes, I'm Jim Hicks. I'm in Vermont right now. That's the farm where I am at the moment. I'm an author and a sustainability activist. I wrote Healthy Eating, Healthy World and the 4-Leaf Guide to Vibrant Health. And I'm glad to be here today.
And next to the Minister of Wellness, Mr. Nathaniel Jordan.
Yes, glad to be here with you all. And you already stated my name, Nathaniel Jordan, and I am a Minister of Wellness and the United States Marines.
Okay, next to Amber.
Hi, I'm Amber Kovalowski. I was in the Air Force, was an engineer, and after I was also doing engineering for civilian groups. And now I homeschool my daughter, and I'm part of different homeschooling groups.
Cool. And lastly, to Howard.
Hi, I'm Howard Bielich, and I'm retired now, but I at one time was a software engineer, and I guess that's about it.
Okay, let's bring it back. We're going to start off with talking about joining the military and your military service, and let's keep this to, I don't know, what do you say, Chef? Like 5 minutes of around that kind of thing, or less of just your service, so we're not, you know, we could all tell war stories all day, but probably don't want to just do like, so there I was in boot camp and blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? Because so anyway.
Yeah, I think 5 minutes is good. We've got one, two, it looks like six, I'm bad at math, eight or nine people on. And I'd love to know if there was anything in their service that when looking back that maybe planted the seeds for their future veganism, you know?
Ooh, should we do that after? Let's do that question next after. What made you join let's go do this. What made you join the military? What made you join that branch? And then we'll do that question. And then next we'll go to Chef AJ's, because I think that's pretty wonderful. So for me, I was living in Japan during 9/11 and watching our country be attacked from abroad was just a crazy experience. It felt literally like the world was collapsing. Luckily, none of us are Gen Z or younger, so you guys understand what it was like, you know, to be alive and be an adult during that time. When I talk to 20 or lessers, they don't get it. It's just a different experience. And when I tell them that living in Japan and watching the plane fly into the World Trade Center and the Twin Towers, it blew my mind, and it made me think like, okay, well, that's that. Looks like the world's ending, that kind of stuff. Like, and pretty much at that moment, or at least that day, I knew I was going to be leaving Japan and joining the service and doing something about this. This felt like our Pearl Harbor. And it was an experience that led me to leave Japan, pack up all my stuff. After living there for 8 years, moving back to the States, I was originally thinking about the Marine Corps because, man, you guys, the Marine Corps has the best PR department. The uniform sells itself. The EGA or Eagle, Globe, and Anchor, it's just so freaking cool. And kudos to me for not saying the F word, Chef. I'm on my best behavior too. So I went into the Marine Corps recruiting office, and they somehow they just had the one guy who couldn't sell you on joining the Marines. They were like, hey, we'll make you like an artilleryman. And I'm like, no, I want to be that. Like, I told them I don't want anything out of the service. I want to be like at war serving my country as soon as possible, which is probably a ridiculous thing to tell your recruiter. I went into the Army, and then Army recruiter, they showed me that video of like 4 Rangers in a boat, which never happens in real life. But if you're sold on that experience, it's like candy. So I joined up. I became an Army paratrooper, and I went to Afghanistan for a year, which after doing a year in Afghanistan, I said, you know what? I think this is enough war for me. They asked me if I wanted to re-enlist. I said, nah, I think I'm good. I see what war is like, and I'm good. And after though, I left to actually start a vegan restaurant. I kind of hemmed and hawed, and that didn't actually happen. This was 2006. I got out. By 2010, I was back in the reserves. It's one of those things, like they say, you can take the person out of the military, but you can't take the military out of the person. And I just missed it. All the ridiculous, stupid things, all the suck. I missed it. I missed someone paying me to go do PT, to shoot guns, to jump out of perfectly good airplanes, all that stuff you should want to run away from. It just became part of me. And I guess that's also what led to me, starting the whole Sergeant Vegan thing, writing the book Vegan Strong. And next to Doug, same question.
Hi, before I get started, want to make sure, can everybody hear me? I'm kind of like behind the curve on this technology thing.
No worries. We'll let you know if we don't hear you or if there's something going wrong, right, Chef?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, Doug. You could turn your phone if you want to be bigger, but we can hear you and see you.
That's kind of a good housekeeping thing, like landscape it.
Yeah, if he wants to turn it, but we can hear him, and we loud and clear, and you guys look so good because I have it in yeah. I have you guys in gallery view, and it's like amazing to see all your faces. I'm still trying to get Curran Sutton on. He might have forgotten, so I'm texting him.
Okay.
Well, I mean, he was a Marine, so it is likely he forgot.
The shit talking has already started. I was waiting to the end of the program to start that stuff, but.
All right, so sorry, I'm using like duct tape to get this thing put up here. Oh, and then I went silent.
Hold on a sec. Are you basically saying Navy can't handle technology? We should send you all some SINGARs or some shit? All right, there you are.
No, basically saying this Navy veteran can't handle technology now. So, yeah, I was in the Navy. What made me join the Navy? I think it's because I grew up in a small town in the desert. So I went, what can get me the farthest away from this town? Navy. And I was really interested in languages. I was studying Japanese in high school. And the Navy recruiter said, hey, you can be, we can actually teach you Chinese. You can come be in the Navy. So I said, oh, that sounds pretty cool. So I signed up for that, was actually in boot camp for September 11th. We thought the drill instructors were just messing with us, because we're going through an obstacle course and they're telling us that planes hit a building. And we thought, yeah, right, just another mind game. Because for those of you who don't know, in boot camp, they play lots of mind games. So, and it's interesting that Chef AJ mentioned, do you see any parallels between, why you join the military or why you go vegan? Mm. And up until she asked that a few minutes ago, I really hadn't thought about. A big reason I joined the military and the Navy was where I grew up. It's a border town. There's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of show you this hand, but this hand is doing something illegal. So it's a lot of untruths, right?
Mm.
And I feel like what brought me to joining the military and veganism was the pursuit of truth, right? I want what I'm doing to be in line with who I am. And I want everything I do to be in line with the morals that I have in my head. So joining the military was kind of that ultimate for me was, I believe in the American way of life and the Constitution, and I'm going to join and protect it. And then those same thoughts about inside morally, I think that animals are obviously they're sentient beings that need our help, protection, and love. So why am I eating them? But yeah, that's my 5-minute story.
Okay, we'll go next to the doctor.
Okay, hi, I'm Dr. Laurie Marbas. I'm family medicine. I grew up in New Mexico, also a small desert town next to Cannon Air Force Base. And I just thought it was the coolest thing ever to be in the Air Force, military. I had Air Force family, actually had Marines, Army, and knew I wanted to be a doctor first. So went off to college, was on ROTC scholarship. I was on a math major, then decided I didn't want to do math and was switched over to biology. Like, well, nope, you have to do math. I said, well, okay, I won't go in the military this way. So then I went on, got married, had 3 kids, went back to medical school when I was a little bit older. My kids were 5, 3, and 10 months. My daughter's about to graduate medical school now. So that's how long that's been. And I said, you know what? I still want to serve. So joined the Air Force after medical school. And that was a wonderful experience. I spent 4 years. I was stationed at Langley Air Force Base in Virginia, got deployed a few times, and that was a little hard as a mom. And so went to the Middle East and South America. And I said, this is all great, but I really miss my family over the holidays. And being the only female physician at a base is really not a lot of fun. So I'm not sure I want to do that again, but it was a wonderful experience. I will tell you, some of my closest and dearest friends are still active duty. And I just want to thank them for their service that they continued. And that's really my story. It was just a family tradition and wanted to continue it. And my husband also served in the Air Force and longer than I did. And it's been a blessing and just thankful that I had the opportunity.
Well, next.
Bill, can I just say something? Because I just had a funny thought. When we do have Corin Sutton on now, so he has joined. And Doug made that funny joke. Well, he probably forgot because he was a Marine. And I think it's so great, like the little ribbing between the different branches of the armed forces. It kind of reminds me that veganism is kind of like that because, we have junk food vegans. We have people that are like SOS free vegans. We have raw food vegans, but yet we're still all vegan. We still, even though maybe we joke and maybe sometimes it's not joking, but the idea is, we're still all for the same cause, whether it's military or whether it's veganism, even if we are different kinds of branches of the armed forces or different kinds of vegans. So there's no bad kind of vegan is what I'm trying to say.
I would definitely agree with that. And I would also agree that there is a lot of inner service joking and ribbing, but I agree with you. The bottom line is we are all one. We are all served our country. We all continue to serve our country in one way or another. So for sure. Let's jump to Corin, since we didn't even get him introducing himself, and then we'll go back to Marina. Corin, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey, what's up? How y'all doing?
Excellent. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and give us your like a quick bio and your branch.
Yeah. So my name's Corin Sutton. I'm a online fitness trainer, as well as a nutritionist, 3-time pro bodybuilder, and also the president of Body HD Fitness. And I've been in the military for about 8 years. Did 4 years in the United States Marine Corps, fully active service, as well deployed to Operation Iraqi Freedom 3 and 4. And after that, I got out and did another 4 years in United States Naval Reserves. And here I am today, vegan for 8 years. So to try to sum that up.
So Doug, I did not know that he was actually Marine Corps and Navy. So I don't know if that counts him. him not being able to tell time being a Marine Corps thing since he was also Navy. I don't know if there's that crossover.
Right. I just got to say, I'm happy that he's not like in a tank top, because he looks fabulous. And I would just go home if he's in there in a tank top, like he wins. You know what I mean?
I'm wearing a sweatshirt as well. There's no competing. Anyway, Miss Marina.
Yeah, thanks. So I enlisted in the Air Force. Toward the end of my senior year of high school, I had friends that were in the Army. I grew up in Kansas, very close to Fort Leavenworth. I had friends that were in the Army. None of my family was military, so I kind of signed up without telling anybody. And part of that was a girlfriend was going to do that, and I thought it was a good idea for several reasons. One, just the kind of noble idea of serving the country. Also, like I knew myself as a senior in high school. I had actually enrolled in Kansas University, and I knew I wasn't quite ready for that. And I also knew that I needed kind of almost like the halfway house of life. There's a little more structure in the military, and I thought that I would thrive in that environment while I'm kind of trying to wean myself into the world. And so I did that. It worked well for me. I served 4 years in the Air Force. I chose the Air Force because I did believe and still believe that from a female perspective, I think they treat their people the best. I think a lot of you would agree with me. You could go ahead and shake your head. But definitely from a female perspective as well. I spent most of my time in Nebraska, but did do temporary duty in Saudi Arabia and was one of 3 women there. And so I totally get you, Laura. So.
Super cool. We're going to move on to Will.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Wonderful. Well, I tell you, my story is kind of unique. I came in the Army in 1979. And a lot of people say, wow, God, you came in years before I was even born. And hey, it may be true, but that's okay. You know, most of my family went Navy. I'm from Norfolk, Virginia. But it was one thing that drove me to the Army. And at that time, I didn't know how to swim. So I said, well, I'm not going in the Navy. There's too much water out there. So I'm going to choose the Army. So that's what separated me from my family members. And everybody was wondering why I went into the Army. But I actually did 14 years of active duty. And I actually did 14 years of active duty. I got out. And I thought I could do better on the outside. And Sergeant Vegan, I was like you, man. I was drawn back. Something kept tugging on me. I mean, I would go to work every day, and I'm standing up at my desk, and everyone else is sitting down at their desk. I'm running up the stairs to get reports and things, and everybody's like, look, you need to slow down. And I'm like, hey, that's what's in me. That's what's been in me for the past 14 years. So I can't slow down. You know, the military puts us on a pace where we do everything at a rapid speed. So that's what I was. So I had an opportunity. I got back into the reserves for a while. And then, you know, I got a little complacent again and got out. And I said, you know what? I just don't know what I'm doing here. So I had an 11-year break in service. And I went back into the military again. And I've been in ever since, you know, and I just retired on the 29th of October of this year. And the reason why I retired, believe it or not, was because I reached my MRD. I was at my maximum retirement date. I'm 60 years old. Even at that time, I was running 13-minute 2 miles, and I can still run them today. And I'm 60 years old, guys. And I got my uniform on to prove, you know, hey, that I'm still holding firm. And that's going to be in our next question. I won't, you know, take the spice away right up front, but yeah, I mean, I love it, you know, and after 33 years of service now that I've served, 33 years, and I tell you right now, I'll go back in today if I had an opportunity to go back, you know, because I tell you, it was something that's near and dear to my heart, and you know, I love it, you know, I just love it.
Moving on to Jim.
Yes, I'm Jim Hicks. In 1968, I was about to graduate from Auburn University with a degree in industrial engineering. And if you remember, some of you, in '68, it was the height of the Vietnam War. Almost every able-bodied man had to go into some kind of military. So I applied for Air Force, Navy, and Coast Guard. And I ended up going in the Coast Guard. But after I was actually I was working in Pittsburgh for Alcoa when all this was happening. I was accepted for Navy navigator. I was accepted for Air Force flight, and I was accepted for regular Coast Guard. But my mother had not told me about my acceptance for Air Force flight. It came in the mail while I was in Pittsburgh. And so I went for my pre-draft physical in Pittsburgh. I found myself in a room with 200 naked men being checked out before we signed in. And I said, you know what? This isn't the kind of atmosphere that appeals to me. I'm going to go back and I'm going to accept one of those offers for a commission that I got. And then, but my mother had not told me about the Coast Guard had not told me about the fact that I was accepted for Air Force, because she didn't want me flying airplanes in Vietnam. And so I actually signed into the Coast Guard before I realized that I'd been accepted for Air Force flight. And since my eyes weren't perfect, I probably wouldn't have been a pilot anyway. But I think I was really lucky. I went to Honolulu in January 1969 after Officer Candidate School. I stayed at Coast Guard Base Honolulu the entire time. I basically ran the PX. And then I had time on my hands. So instead of partying like most people around me were doing every night, I went to the University of Hawaii at night and got an MBA before I got out of there. So it was all really a good thing. Another thing that kind of relates to the diet, the vegan diet, is while I was there, my wife and I were big fans of a place called Patty's Chinese Kitchen. And it was in the basement of the shopping center there, the big Ala Moana shopping center. And I just loved that food. And I learned how to eat the plate lunches in Honolulu, a lot of Asian people in Honolulu. And so, 20, 30 years later, when I got really interested in vegan eating, I think it was that experience that kind of got me started. So I served after 3 years active. I did serve in the reserves, and was stationed in Puerto Rico and in Philadelphia. But overall, I'm really happy that I served to this day, and too bad everybody doesn't need to do that anymore.
Cool. On to Nathaniel.
Yes. So how I decided to go into the Marines, I was raised by a very strict father. My father was a old-fashioned hellfire brimstone preacher. And so when I got 18, he told me that I either had to work 2 full-time jobs or I had to get out if I wasn't going to go to college. So I looked at the different branches, and I chose the Marines because they said it was the hardest. And I'm someone that don't bow down from a challenge, and I wanted to see how hard it was, especially at that time. I was an amateur boxer at the time. So that's why I joined the Marines. So they said it was the hardest, and I did get in I got in very good shape out of coming outside of boot camp, and I did end up making the all Marine boxing team for a few months. And I did for 4 years, but yes, that's what led me to join. I signed up while I was in high school. So straight out of high school, I was in boot camp.
Cool. Moving on to Howard.
Yeah, I grew up in Maryland, right outside of Andrews Air Force Base, and my dad was Air Force, and I had always, my exposure to Andrews Air Force Base was that it was half Air Force and half Navy, actually. So I always thought of the Navy as the Airedale type Navy. So it was 1969, and I was deciding which branch of the service to go into. My father was Air Force. He said, "Whatever you do, don't go into the Air Force." So I don't know why, but I decided I'd go into the Navy, thinking, okay, I'll be in the Airedale Navy. Well, go to Fleet Sonar School, and well, I went to boot camp, and when I was in boot camp, at the end of that, they said, "You're going to be a sonarman." And I said, "Oh, what's that?" Well, I said, "Well, you have to go to Fleet Sonar School either in Key West, Florida, or San Diego, California." I said, "Those are your choices." And I said, "Okay, San Diego, California." And he said that was the wrong choice. So I ended up going to Key West for a year to Fleet Sonar School, and spent 6 years in the Navy, first class sonar tech, and it was a good experience for me. I'll just leave it at that, I guess.
Okay, cool. Doug, to you. Doug?
Wait, are we?
Yeah,
Yeah, I already did my my intro.
Do you want to just talk? Well, I guess you did kind of talk about you're originally joining the Navy. Amber?
All right. I just unmuted. So I joined the Air Force because I was a military brat. My father was in for 20 years, and that's all I ever knew in my life. So I did it for opportunity. I was good at math and science in school, and ROTC was willing to give me a scholarship to go to college. And I lucked out. Beyond that, I actually got paid to be active duty to get my graduate degree as well. So there are a lot of opportunities in the military, as you guys all know, but I feel like a lot of people don't understand that. So after that, I was a radar engineer and program manager. So I was the definition of chair force. Right. And I enjoyed the military aspect of it more than that job. As much as people encourage you to go and be a pilot or navigator at the time, it was not something I was interested in. I did get the opportunity to experience some of those things like flying, but I learned it wasn't something I was really interested in. And luckily, what being in the military did was just give you a lot of opportunity, a lot of networking. And I was really lucky to be in as much as I didn't like to be in. So afterwards, probably like a lot of you, I pursued a fitness-based, fitness was really important. So I opened a gym. After that, like I said, I continued on with engineering. I, for some reason, kept wanting to pursue my own degree. And then from there, life just sort of happens. But I wasn't vegan for very long in the military. I would say less than a year. So I didn't get to struggle with having to do boot camp or deploying or anything like that with
Don't worry,
the diet.
we're going to talk plenty about vegan, especially
that was basically it.
Yeah. Me and you might be the only two who are actually vegan while in the service, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
Corinne, I know you told us you were in both the Marine Corps and the Navy. Tell us about originally joining the Marine Corps, because that came first, correct?
Yeah. So for me, the reason I joined the United States Marine Corps was because I did the junior ROTC when I was in high school, and it was like for my school, I went to JP Terabella in Cold Springs, Florida, and the type of ROTC program they had was for Navy. So going through that.
Hold on a second. Were you a Navy Sea Cadet?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I did it for a year and a half, but so I couldn't get the benefits because I know if you do 2 years, you could go in as a PFC or a Lance Corporal or something like that. Yeah. I couldn't get that because they just started the program at my school, and I was only able to get a year and a half in. So I wasn't able to get the benefits, but at least I have I I was ahead of most other recruits, you know what I'm saying? So, but the main reason I joined the Marine Corps was really because the same reason, I don't know, I think it was Terry, the minister guy, the other Marine, it's very similar. It's because it was hard. My granddad was in the Navy and my father was in the Army. And I just got to it where when I saw the Marine Corps, and it was also the sales, because when the recruits talk to you, they're like salesmen, you know what I'm saying? And the Marines were the only one that was, when the recruiters came to me, they were straight to the point and they told me everything I wanted to hear. All the other branches kind of just literally just talk crap about Marines, saying that, you know, and I guess because when you're talking to high school students, it's easy to manipulate, but I didn't really have that type of mindset when I was in high school. I wanted to hear facts, not BS, you know, and that's what all the other branches were doing. Like I talked to a Navy recruiter, I talked to an Air Force recruiter, the Coast Guard recruiter just never showed up for the appointment, so that was like gone. But when it came to the Army and Navy recruiters, they were just telling me the whole time, like, oh, you'll be a robot if you join the Marines. You know, they're just talking down. While the Marines were just like, look, this is the opportunities that you can have if you join. And they were telling me like my future. They were telling me my job. They were very proficient and professional at what they did. And they dressed better. So when I saw that, I went with the Marines because I was like, yeah, they're professional. They look better in uniform. And they're straight to the point. They didn't BS. And it was during the war too. So, and they told me like, you'll go to war, man. You know, but I think what caught me was when they said, the Marines, not everyone could be a Marine. Yeah. They said not everyone could do it because we're the hardest. This is why we say we're the few, the proud, and the Marines. Only the few can be it. And when they said that, that was sold, because I was like, I could be with a group that only a few can be. And even going through boot camp, I witnessed that, you know. I literally witnessed how many people will fall out. I witnessed people fall out when we were deploying to Iraq. I witnessed people fall out when we were doing like extreme training events. So that saying is very true. And it's one of the things that what really resonates to me even till today. We're one of the smallest branches in the whole entire world, but we're one of the strongest. And having that type of pride and knowing that I was in part of that type of organization makes me proud as a Marine today. So that's what the main reason why I joined the Marine Corps.
Cool. And
can I just add something? I don't think everybody can be vegan either. And I think the people that are vegan should be very proud, because it really, you know, I find a parallel right there, because a lot of people give lip service. Oh, I you know, that sounds great. I could do it. And a lot of people can't do it. And so it just shows how extraordinary you guys are that you're able to do both, because I couldn't be in any branch of the armed forces. I mean, maybe I could be the cook somewhere, but I'm telling you, you know, I can't even drive the freeway. So can you imagine me in the armed forces or me with a gun? So thank you.
did we already go full circle? Howard, we got you too, right? You just got reshuffled in. All right, let's, Chef AJ, thank you very much for that segue comment into being vegan. And there's going to be some, I think, intersection for some of us, because Amber and I were both vegan while in the service. And for some of us, I think most everyone else, it was after. So let's make this question kind of sort of open-ended in talking about veganism as it relates to your service, and not for me. Since I've been vegan for 28 years, way before I joined the service, my choice to go in the service also relates to it, because everything relates to everything when you're vegan. It just has a way to. So when we were attacked on 9/11, I had already been vegan for 10 years, and so of course I wasn't going to stop being vegan just because I was going to service, but the being vegan did pose that question, like, am I going to be able to find enough food to eat? What's going to happen? my reason for not going vegan earlier, because I had thought about it around college time, was I was already vegan. Was I going to wear the leather combat boots? And that was actually something that I know might sound silly to people who are not vegetarian or vegan, but for me, that was a real soul searching moment. And in college, I had said, no, I'm not going to join the service. That the wearing combat boots, I'm just not going to, wearing leather, I'm just not going to do it. After we were attacked and the world was basically crumbling and it looked like the apocalypse, at least where I was sitting, I thought this is probably not the biggest issue, whether I'm going to wear these boots or not. I'm obviously going to be vegan and I'm going to join as a medic so I can save as many lives as possible. But in my mind, I thought I'll be able to save the lives of the soldiers that I'm with. I'll be able to also help people, the combatants that I'm with as well, the locals. And spending a year in Afghanistan, that's how it actually panned out. I helped the soldiers on either the forward operating base I was with, also sometimes Marines we were with, and sometimes the Afghan National Army, sometimes locals, sometimes wrapping burnt babies, whatever. The locals, at least in Afghanistan, unfortunately, since they don't have video games and YouTube, they have to hurt each other for entertainment pretty much. So then there's someone like me who, it's either have someone like me who had medical training, being able to give you your meds for malaria or whatever, or you walk over a mountain in Pakistan that's treacherous and snow-filled and you may or may not make it. So we were in that area, the people's best opportunity for medical care. So what I'm saying is, I guess, joining the Army, being a paratrooper and serving in Afghanistan gave me a chance to, at least in some small part, help make the world a better place. And I think that's what veganism is too, making the world a better place. Sometimes it's difficult, as Chef AJ said. It's not always easy. Sometimes you're put in a situation. For most people that are going to be watching this, though, that aren't us, that haven't gone through difficult things, the takeaway I would like you to think of is in 2020, there's really almost nothing easier than being vegan. I mean, Carl's Jr. down the street has a Beyond Burger. I mean, if that isn't easy access to veganism, now I don't know what is. So yeah, go vegan, stay vegan strong. Dr. Laurie?
I actually went vegan in 2012, early 2012, after I got out of the Air Force in 2010. And I was in Western Colorado, and I'm on the other side of Colorado. I'm outside of Boulder. But it was a patient who accidentally found a plant-based diet and had dramatic improvements along with her 16-year-old daughter. And then I kind of did some investigation, read T. Colin Campbell's book, The China Study, and I was like blown away. And then I was like, how am I going to do this as a physician? And kind of jumped on the bandwagon overnight, went home to 3 teenagers and a husband who was very supportive. And we went vegan overnight. And my daughter is now 26, has remained vegan. My son is 24, is vegan. And my youngest is 22, is also vegan. And my husband as well. So we've stayed on the bandwagon, and we launched a few different things. One was Healthy Human Revolution, where we help people transition. And because I really feel, it's a service thing, I think, right? As being vegan, plant-based, and being in the military, just always called as a physician as well. And so we launched also in March, just kind of happened to coincide with COVID. It took us a year and a half to launch, but it's plant-based telehealth. It's the first national practice where we serve those who are seeking plant-based services from a physician. We're up to 3 physicians. Dr. Clapper's on board with us, and Dr. Chris Miller. And we have 3 other docs joining us because we are so busy. And it's been phenomenal. I'm licensed in 45 states. I'm working on the last 5. And we've had people from across the country and the world reach out to us. And it's been a real blessing to serve others still, but helping them transition to plant-based diet and literally reverse chronic disease. It's like nothing I've ever seen in the last 9 years. So I'm super stoked about that. So that's kind of my story.
I got to jump in because Laurie used a word, serve. And I think this is the correlation, because people that are in the military they don't say I work for the military, right? They say I serve. And the people now, they're still serving. This is what I'm trying to say, is this is why I see there was a correlation, because even though maybe they may not have been vegan when they were in the military, they were serving, and they are still serving through being vegan. And all of you can do the same thing just by being vegan. We are all serving a greater cause. And I just admire all of you for what you're doing so much.
Did we jump to Marina yet?
No, sure, I can go. Yeah.
Cool.
I have been vegan I started doing the math, and it's closer to 10 years now. Prior to that, I was vegetarian, and I was vegetarian because I didn't believe that animals should be used as entertainment. And I also didn't, I thought about the pain that was put upon them for what I considered eating as entertainment. And then about 10 years ago, both of my parents were diagnosed with cancer on the same day. And my sister and I actually kind of came across, started talking about and came across fork over knives as well. And we descended on my parents' location. And then when we left there, we were vegan. Coincidentally, the last animal product I ate made me sick as hell, which was like, pretty funny. But I went home, talked to my husband about it, who my late husband was in the Army. He wasn't in the Army at the time, but was Army for quite a few years. And he also, because of health concerns and that type of thing, went vegan with me, whole food, plant-based with me. And it's been all out since then, trying new things, finding Chef AJ.
Cool. Will, to you.
Right. Well, I'm one of you guys. I was whole food plant-based while I'm in the military, still whole food plant-based to this day. The beautiful part about that is that, my family and I, we've been whole food plant-based since 2015. And to be honest, I went whole food plant-based because my wife made me, you know what I'm saying? Well, my wife's very persuasive, man. She was like, we going whole food plant, but I'm like, hey, no problem. If you can cook me some desserts, I'm on board with you, okay? So actually, we went whole food plant-based. Now, the funny thing about this is that we went whole food plant-based in 2015, and I also deployed to Kuwait in 2015. So now let me tell you this story. Okay, now I deployed, okay, brand new whole food plant-based soldier. I'm going over, everybody, we're in the DFAC, the dining facility. Everybody's eating everything, and I'm sitting here like, oh my gosh, how am I going to make this happen, right? And my wife would send me care packages, of whole food plant-based care packages, anywhere from homemade marmalade to cookies and pies and cakes, no sugar added to it and all of that, And I'm gonna tell you something, I went 12 months, I was over there 12 months, right? And I was able to stay true to the whole food plant-based lifestyle. So if anybody can say that, hey, to be whole food plant-based, oh no, you can't do it. All of my battle buddies over there say, oh no, you're not gonna be able to do it. We eating in the DFAC. I talked to the DFAC manager and I told him, I say, look, I'm a whole food plant-based eater. I don't eat any meat, eggs, cheese, dairy, none of that stuff. So when I come to the line to get my food, if I want extra greens, if I want extra potatoes, please give it to me. And he talked to all of his staff and I had no issues in getting plenty of food when I needed food when I went into DFAC, right? And I'll tell you, they turned me into a food miser. So all of my battle buddies didn't want to sit with me to eat because they thought I was going to pick fun at them because of what they were eating. All right. So I'm just letting you know that, hey, it was everything for me. And in the military, being older, and I know everybody have their own idea about this, but when you get older, it seems like your metabolism don't work as fast, so I'm gaining weight, right? I'm gaining weight before I went whole food plant-based. And the first thing happened to me is I lost 85 pounds.
Oh, you did gain some.
85 pounds. I was 235 pounds. I lost 85 pounds. And then when I was over there deployed, my first sergeant, I talked to him and I became the special population coach, meaning that anybody that failed the Army physical fitness test, anybody that was overweight, they had to come see me. And I would design a menu for them, a plan, and put them on a workout regimen. So I'm telling you right now, whole food plant-based was everything for me, and it's the reason why I'm still running those 2 miles in 13 minutes, right, at my age. And it's still the reason why I feel better today than I felt in 1979 when I signed up. And I'm telling you right now that it's the only way to go. It's the only way to go for longevity. This is what you have to do. Now, I got one more thing. My wife and I, we launched what we call Get to the Root Health and Wellness. My entire family is whole food plant-based. My wife is, I am. We have a 13-year-old daughter who is now almost 6 feet tall, right? And I think that's becoming because of her diet. She's just been adopted into the junior varsity squad of a high school in the 7th grade. So I'm letting you know how this girl is really blooming. And I really believe it's because of her diet, okay? The whole food plant-based diet. We also have our 9 and our 8-year-old grandbabies that are whole food plant-based. Now we started in 2015, so you do the math. You do the math of how old they were when we went whole food plant-based, okay? But I told my wife, hey, as long as you can give me some desserts, I'm on board. So yes, if you want to be an awesome, elite, fit person in the military, you go whole food plant-based. And the last thing I got to say is that they've even started in the dining facility to serve plant-exclusive meals in the dining facility. They started it at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and all they serve in that dining facility is whole food plant-based. So somebody know the truth. Somebody do know the truth, and including me. So I'm telling you right now, it's the way to go. Thank you so much for that.
Jim, on to you.
Yes, 31 years. I got out of the Coast Guard in September of let's see, when was it? 1971. 31 years and 2 months later, I got curious about the optimal diet for humans. That was in 2002, late 2002. And so I got online, started studying, and I immediately found people like T. Colin Campbell and John McDougall and Joel Furman and all of these guys that are my heroes now. And within 2 months, I realized and I concluded that the optimal diet for humans was whole food plant-based, not necessarily vegan, but whole food plant-based. And so I made it my mission to get to know all of the players in the field, the Campbells and the McDougalls and the Furmans and Barnards and everybody. Eventually wound up serving on the board of directors of the T. Colin Campbell Foundation, which is now the Center for Nutrition Studies. And I actually sat at Dr. Campbell's breakfast table one day and told him about an idea I had to measure how close we are to eating 100% whole food plant-based. And so from that discussion, it led me to create something called the 4-Leaf program and later the 4-Leaf survey. So with 12 multiple choice questions in 2 minutes, you can estimate approximately the percent of your calories that are coming from whole plant-based foods. And Dr. Campbell inspired that. His definition of it inspired it. And I said, well, we need a way to keep track of that, because you could be 100% vegan and eat nothing but Diet Coke and potato chips, and you'd be a dead vegan in about 2 months. So since then, I really think when I die, the creation of that 4-Leaf survey to make it simple for people to really understand what a diet looks like that promotes health, that will be probably the most important thing that I give back to the world. And I guess my interest in eating this way started in the Coast Guard, but it surely didn't go anywhere for 31 years until a long time after that. So I'm 100% sold on it now. My interest in eating also led me to think a lot more about sustainability in terms of how the diet affects our ability to nature's ability to sustain ourselves on this planet. So now I'm much more focused on how we can do all of the other things in addition to changing our diets, because if you look at the numbers, For every American or European that's moving in the direction of a plant-based diet, there's at least 10 people in the world moving in the other direction. In the underdeveloped world that are just now beginning to have money in their pocket and can go to McDonald's in Korea or wherever and buy it. So it's still a huge issue, as are many other issues. So I just wanted to kind of give Dr. Campbell a plug for that and all that he's done for me.
You know, I just had a great idea. Remember the movie Game Changers, where they showed that the greatest, most powerful athletes could be and were vegan? What if they started doing that with the armed forces? Let's take any of your branches and let's make one whole branch go, you know, then they'll all be the Marines, Corn, you know? Can you imagine? Yeah, that's a thought. If anybody wants to do that documentary, I'm behind it.
I mean, I would love to make everyone in the military vegan. It might be, I think it takes a special sort of someone to join the military, and not all of those special someones are going to also care about animals. but I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. Nathaniel, next to you.
Yes. Yeah, I became a vegan. It was after my time in the Marines when I became vegan, because I actually, when I was at my leanest in the Marines, I was 165. And then once I got out of the Marine Corps, I joined the police department in my local city in St. Louis. And I went from 165 to 260.
Ooh.
And so and that's what started my health journey, because my blood pressure became very high. My father and my uncles, they started dying of strokes and diabetes. And so it was through my process of gaining that type of weight and developing cardiovascular disease that I started studying. And that's when I came across, the legends in the whole food plant-based field, the Dr. Joe Furmans, Dr. Michael Gregors, Dr. Kim Williams, and all of them. And once I learned the truth about the connection between what we eat and disease, and that's what caused me to take it all the way home. So it was mainly the health side of the equation. Now, as far as the ethical side, that was through me studying works such as John Robbins and Ocean Robbins and other very important books that I read about the meat industry. And when I saw that's just something that I can't support. And then what's been very important for me is that, again, my father being a pastor and me being a man of faith and seeing the tremendous amount of obesity and destruction of health within the churches, in particularly my community, the Black faith community. And so I've been on a rampage to try to awaken that particular community about the fact that we as people of faith, we as people who serve God, that supporting supporting the meat industry, supporting the medical industry, allowing ourselves to get sick to where we're experimented like lab rats by big pharma, it should not be. And we should be on the front lines of fighting against that type of evil. And I do consider what the meat industry and the food industry and the medical industry, I do consider those to be evil industries. And I'm doing all that I can to fight against them.
On to you, Doug.
I went vegan in February of 2014. It was within a year of getting out of the military. And I went literally overnight, just some deep late night thinking. And one of the things I always try to go back to, and something that I gained from joining the military, I'm sure all of us would agree with this, is there are no excuses, just result. You get the job done. You accomplish the mission. There's no room for failure. There's no room for feelings. There's no room for any of that. So one of the things when I decided to go vegan was just, it's gonna have to happen. And people are sending me messages. So, okay, here we go. I'm gonna have to figure this out. And looking back on my time in the military, and I think about all the hardest times, you know, when I was deployed underway on a ship or a submarine, I think the diet that I was eating was actually kind of vegan because it was peanut butter and jelly sandwiches that I could just grab from the kiosk. So, you know, obviously anything is doable. And so once I made the decision to go vegan, even though I was surrounded by meat eaters, I was at Motorcycle Mechanics Institute. And if you know anything about bikers, they're not the picture perfect vegan friendly crowd. So I'd go there with my tofurkey sandwiches and eating it, and they tried to give me, a hard time. And then I'd say, well, you know, can you bench 600? All right, shut up and go eat your burger. But yeah, so that's just it. It's just there's, you know, it's just simple. There's no excuses. Just you find the way. All of us veterans know this. You know, you do the right thing, and that's it.
You know, it seems like everyone here has what I call the heart of a hero. And, you know, when I heard the Minister of Wellness talking, in between being a veteran and vegan, he was in the police force. Again, service. Bill, a nurse, service. Dr. Marbas, doctor, service. Corinne, I mean, it seems like all of you guys, your whole life is about serving. And now you're serving for even, I think, a higher purpose, people, planet, and animals. That's what's so great about being vegan is you touch all three things.
Very true. Very true. Totally agree. Howard, next to you.
Back in 2017, I was pretty unhealthy. Had a lot of stress in my life. I became diabetic, had heart problems, neuropathy in my feet. Decided I needed to do something. I really didn't have an opportunity until about September of 2017 to do anything about it. I have a hard time talking about it, but my wife's got Alzheimer's, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Anyway, I had to take care of her, and it was all of that stress and everything you need to do to deal with that was taking a big toll on me physically. So decided in September I was going to go vegan, see if that would help. And so by the end of September, I'd done enough research. I started finding out about whole food plant-based, and that's what started to turn my life around as far as my health goes. And so I lost 110 pounds. I reversed my diabetes. I have no more heart problems and off all my meds. My last A1C was 4.7, so I don't know if it gets much better than that. So anyway, health-wise, it's been a real blessing for me. And in the process of doing all of that for the last 3 years, and I've become more aware of what it means to animals. You know, I never had a second thought about what I was eating before this. You know, I always had in the back of my mind. You know, I did think every so often, you know, gee, it's terrible. We have to kill animals to do this. But I kept thinking, well, I'm sure they do this, that it's done humanely. And but then when I started doing the research, I found out that that's not the case. So I'm glad that I've found this way of this lifestyle, and it's just been a real blessing. That's it.
Well, Howard has a great feature article in the current Forks Over Knives magazine because he had an amazing transformation physically. So I'll see if I can grab it before the show's over.
Yes, please do. And thank you for sharing that. Alzheimer's is indeed one of the scariest things as an RN. I deal with those patients. So I can't even imagine what you were going through with your wife with that, but I spend most of my days working with those patients. So I appreciate how difficult that would have been. And I'm sure too, that you're making that transformation for yourself for going vegan was very difficult, but I certainly wish more of my patients, I work with veterans at the VA, so I wish more of them would follow your example. Yeah, please definitely share that, Chef AJ, because I think people unfortunately, and everybody here knows that people make this connection, especially with the military, but just our society in general, of if you want to be tough or masculine, you have to eat dead animals, even if it's literally killing ourselves and the planet. So thank you very much for being able to think outside that box. Oh, and next on to Amber.
All right. So I might be your only, or maybe I think Corinne's the last one after me, but I went vegan for the environment. I was a health nut prior to going vegan, or what I thought was healthy. I was really into fitness, was pretty regimented and wanted to eat whole foods. And even the animals I ate at the time I was legitimately that person that was eating the grass-fed, organic, and everything else. But as soon as, I think it was Gary Yourofsky, he had that speech on YouTube, and it exposed me to the environmental impact. I didn't realize how much animal agriculture was polluting our planet, what we did to the oceans, and just as soon as you find out, it's like you got to do something about it. So I didn't care about the animals, and as far as CAFO animals, or what we were doing to them, so much as I cared about the ecosystem and what we were doing to the entire planet, and maybe more like the wildlife. I also thought that going vegan was going to be bad for my health, but I didn't care. Oddly, I was having fertility issues for 2 years, and I said, okay, having a baby's not working. I'll go vegan, screw it. I'm just going to go vegan. It doesn't matter anymore. And I got pregnant, and she's my crying, 6-year-old downstairs now. So I've been vegan for almost 7 years. And sometimes I question whether or not that means anything, because, I know you guys talk about vegans ragging on each other, but sometimes it's not playful at all. And if you don't go vegan for the animals, sometimes they don't call you vegan at all. So anyways, that's what I did. And I was vegan for a very short time while in the military. And so I wasn't deployed or in training or anything. So I had full control over my food. No one made fun of me because I was in better shape than them, men included. So, and I don't know if it helps being a woman. I mean, there's some struggle with being a woman in the military, but also sometimes I think guys know that they can't do certain things. I don't know. So that's a whole different topic. But fitness wise, I related to what Dr. Marbas said. Afterwards, my husband and I opened a CrossFit gym. So obviously that played into it too, with the whole paleo thing. We were always a vegan CrossFit gym. And my way of sort of giving back, since I couldn't technically talk to people about nutrition for pay, at least, I would just talk to them about what I was doing. They wanted to do what we were doing. My husband was at the time really into CrossFit, very fit, and he was even awarded, what was it called, fittest man in our county. So he did that. I looked really fit for having a baby. So everybody was like, okay, whatever they're doing is working. And that's how we've always advocated this lifestyle, is by being the best version of ourselves and not being pushy, I suppose. I know pushy works for some people, but pushy did not work for me. I've never won anybody over that way. And to this day, we still share what we do when it comes to food from a health perspective, mostly, even though that's not the reason I got in. So I am trying to be sneaky, I guess.
And Corinne, over to you.
Yeah, so I went vegan somewhere around like 2011, 2012, and I was in the Navy Reserves at the time. So for anyone that doesn't know what the reserves are, it's like part-time, it's like a part-time job, any other part-time job. So I did have two jobs, being in the military as well. At that time, I was a security guard at a mall, the Sawgrass Mall, full-time. And at the time, when I was going to school, because I was in school full time, I didn't even know what I wanted to do. I think I was like majoring into criminal justice because I wanted to do some type of government job, and I was applying during that time, and I was applying for everywhere, like Secret Service, FBI, like, any type of government job you could think of. I pretty much was signing up for it. Even the DEA, I even signed up for that. And trust me, I think the government knows so much information from me from those applications, because it's pretty in depth. It's not like a regular application. But during that time, I was going to school, and Gary Yourofsky actually came into my classroom, because I was in the classroom I was in it was public speaking, and we were learning more about persuasive speaking, right? And our professor, which I believe he was vegan, I never really asked him, but being vegan now, I think he was. I mean, who brings in Gary Yourofsky into your classroom? You know what I'm saying? Like, so I would assume he was vegan. And he brought him in to show an example of like how a persuasive public speaker works. So when he came in, like, this is the first time I actually met a vegan in my whole entire life. I heard the phrase before in the military, but no one was really vegan. And when I was in, especially in the Marine Corps and the unit I was with, no one was vegan, so it wasn't even a topic that people would even talk about. But Gary Yourofsky started his speech. And if y'all don't know who Gary Yourofsky is, just go on YouTube, type in the best vegan speech ever, and you'll see his speech will come up on YouTube. And I highly advise, if you never even watched it, even if you are vegan, so you should still watch it. You might learn some things or two. But when he did his presentation, all I remembered when I walked away from it was some of the things that he showed, like all the graphic images where the animals dying, and then when he put into the context, saying that these are innocent animals. They haven't done anything. They just want peace. They just want to live. And he was saying that, like, have you ever seen a living animal like that's breed just to die? Like, literally, do you ever come into existence just to die and have your single sole purpose is for food, And when he said that, I was like, man, I never really thought about that. Like, I knew that animals get slaughtered at some point, but I would say that I never looked that deep into it. And I really never thought about it either. I pretty much made some type of fallacy up in my mind, right? That animals grow old and they're taken care of. And, you see the cartoon pictures of the cows all happy and stuff. So, I kind of just went with it and thought, like, these are all those animals that I'm able to eat, they lived a good life, But when Gary showed the truth, and he showed like what really goes on behind the curtain, it woke me up. And the only thing I started relating it to was when I was in war, because I was part of the 22nd Marine Expeditionary Unit, which is called MU. In short, it's a MU. And we were literally boots on ground. We had to like take over a small town called Hit in the Al-Anbar province in Iraq, and set up a whole police force and all the stuff out there is ridiculous. But to make a long story short, when I was up there, I witnessed a lot of bystanders, like civilians who didn't want to be in war. And when you kind of look at media, especially during this time, all we see is, and this might sound a little graphic, all we see is Iraqi people chopping off like service member heads off, stuffing it on a stick, or have their body stuck, their whole body, I forgot the actual term, but the whole body in the stick, and light it up on fire. And that's what they would show on public television, creating that image that, Iraqi people are evil and this is their primary mission, is just to kill. And when I was out there to really witness what's going on in war, it's not like that. That stuff happened, but it wasn't like that with everyone. And I feel that in America, we kind of paint a picture that when you see one thing, it goes across with everybody, right? So with that image stuck in my head and being out there, I witnessed a lot of innocent people who just doesn't want to participate in the war. A lot of people don't want to be there. People are going, a lot of innocent people just want a normal life. Like, people think right now lockdown is hard. Lockdown's a piece of cake. People complaining about wearing a mask. Wearing a mask is a piece of cake. Wearing a piece of little paper mask that just a walk outside to go to the grocery store is nothing what other people endure in their country. And when I witness some of the things, how people get treated, even prisoners that we captured, how they were treated like animals. And we're supposed to be the good guys. We're supposed to be the professionals to do the right things for the right reason. And I still witness people taking advantage of others because they didn't have their rights. They weren't American and they were painted as evil, right? So when I witnessed all of this, I just compared it to the animals that I saw. These are animals that's brought into existence. They just want to live life. They don't want to live in this environment of war, hatred, and death. Just like Iraqi people lived in their environment, got turned upside down to war, death, and killings, right? It's the same. And when Gary was talking about like innocent beings, I just saw innocent lives. That's what I saw. And I was just like, man, like if I'm contributing myself to this, I don't want to be part of it anymore. And this is when, like Chef AJ said, like, the whole armed forces could be vegan. I don't know. It's a really hard statement to say because there's a part of you that you have to be a killer. There's a part of you that you have to be willing to take someone out. There's a part of you that you need to be confident enough to shoot someone straight in the head if they're threatening your life. It's yours or theirs. So how can you be vegan and then also differentiate yourself with that type of character? And with me, I couldn't live with this killer mindset character anymore. I couldn't, especially when I saw how animals are treated. Some of the things that they've done with animals and how they're treated in the farms is the same way how we treat POWs when we got captives. The same setup. You separate animals, you separate people from each other, you lock them up in cages, you beat them and abuse them. I didn't see any difference. I just saw abuse. I saw a lot of hate, a lot of negative energy. So with me, when I saw that was also happening with animals, it definitely shattered that fallacy that I had in my mind. And that was the day when I was like, I really want to change. I think I'm going to throw the towel away. So after that, I told Gary, like, yeah, I wanted to learn more about going more on a plant-based lifestyle. He told me some stuff. Then after that, I started my journey. Within my journey, I started, first thing I did was went pescatarian. And through being pescatarian, I changed my whole entire career, like not career, but what's it called? My major in college. I changed it to exercise science. Cause I kind of figured that's what I wanted to do. If I'm going to learn about nutrition, might as well use the government money for once to go into a direction that I know I could take advantage of and also help people, So I did that. And the more I started learning more about nutrition, health, fitness, exercise, I started to love it a lot more because I started learning that food is medicine, right? And also at the same time, living a vegan lifestyle, I'm preserving lives of innocent beings. So it was like a win-win. And once I started learning more, then I got more into physical fitness training. I started actually helping people. I went vegan. I eventually went vegan. And then when I was vegan, that's when I got out of the Navy Reserves. I actually got admin step from the Navy Reserves. I have an honorable discharge in the Marine Corps, and I had an admin separation from the Navy Reserves. And the reason is because I was trying to get out. And y'all probably already know where I'm about to take this. Because sometimes when you're in the armed forces, you have, I don't even know how to say this, but this is a military term. You have your shit bags, right? And then you also have your squared away individuals, right? And when you have someone who's not squared away, freaking, they're easy to kick someone out. But when you have someone who's locked on, and that was me, I was trying to get out. They gave me the big old green weenie. They gave me the runaround. And I could have got out because I signed a 6-year contract. And according to my contract, I was able to do the last 2 years inactive. They didn't want to do that. They gave me the runaround. And I was at a point in my life where I just didn't want this killer mindset. I didn't know how to differentiate myself from being a Marine to a compassionate person. Because when I was in the Marines, I was the Marine. I joined when I was 17, so I was a Marine. I loved it, People called me by my name. You better call me by my rank and my last name. If you call me by my first name, I'm punching you right in the throat. That's how locked in I was. I was super locked in. That's why I did security work, because I could still act the same I don't have to act compassionate. You talk back, you get arrested. And I call police and you get thrown in jail. That's it. You talk back, you get thrown on the ground and locked up. I didn't care. I didn't give people chances. So that's why I did that. That's why I wanted to do a government job. But with all this tension and anger that I had to leave, because it was just, my environment was just filled with hatred, with violence, with death, with confrontations. So that's when I decided to leave the Navy Reserves. I just told them, like, if you're going to do this to me and not process my work and say that, oh, you lost it, like you lost my paperwork, you're in Miami. You don't do anything. How can you lose paperwork? So I'm like, if you lose paperwork, you just lost a sailor. So that's when I left. I just refused, not coming back. And, there was a part of me that was like, there was something that I want to hold on to, because that's all I did was military. I was good at it. But there was another part that just felt a big relief coming out of me. After that, I went to a Buddhist temple once or twice a week for a whole year. Definitely changed my whole psychological mindset when it came to life. And the reason I chose Buddhism is because it's the only practice that I felt that related to what I was looking for. I was trying to look for a new person, a new me. I was trying to look for my spirit, and make a redefine myself. And through meditation, through through all the practices I learned through there, even the spiritual energy about food and not eating animals, like learning about that part and really start incorporating it within my lifestyle. That's when, things got really good, and I started really changing and really started helping people, like extremely. And that's when I saw like a new purpose for myself. And after that, I've been doing Body HD Fitness for a while, training people, helping others to transition into a plant-based lifestyle. I'm part of a Vegan Strong, we travel around the nation doing the same thing, just trying to educate people around nutrition and fitness and show people that it's possible to do it. So I always say to anyone that if you're planning to go plant-based, it's not just you shouldn't just do it for health, but you should do it for everything. It's a diet, it's a lifestyle that really has no strings attached when it comes to violence, pain, and suffering. And I don't know why people would argue against that, but I feel like if people went through some of the things I went through when I was in war, it's an easier way to think. And I had comrades die. I've been shot at. I've been blown up. I've been there. So I feel that that's maybe the missing link for most people, and why it's hard for them to transition, because most people never been through a violent situation. Most people never had that feeling when you're about to die. Your butthole gets real tight. No one had that feeling. And I think once you have that feeling, that's when it's easy to relate an animal, because the look that they have in their eyes is the same look that I've seen when someone's about to get shot or killed. It's the same look. You don't need to know, you don't have to be Dr. Doolittle and talk to an animal and be a cow whisperer and all this crap. The face and the eyes says it all. And that's why I recognize.
That was amazing, Corinne. I love what you said about, people complain about wearing a mask to the store. They obviously haven't been in the military.
Yeah, they haven't wore a gas mask. Imagine that, wearing that for like a couple of days straight. It's not good. That's worse.
Well, I so appreciate your passion. I could listen to you forever. But I think we have to wrap up now. So I thought it would be good if Bill maybe asked a final question to each of the participants if you had to leave because they had to go back to work. And just, do you want to ask maybe a wrap-up question, Bill?
Sure. So, of course, because in the age of social media, where do we all find you on social media, number one? And number two, what are you working on right now? So I'll go first. Still promoting Vegan Strong, my first book, The Field Manual for Vegan Living. Number two, I'm working on my follow-up, which is a children's book called The Adventures of Sergeant Piggy, which is basically veganism for kids. Oh, thanks, Corinne. Super rad shout out, Vegan Strong. And with the children's book, basically what I'm hoping to do is help to slightly reset the narrative that everyone has to destroy the planet and eat animals to be masculine or cool, or whatever mainstream media is calling what we're doing to our planet, and to just have something that's not like a weepy, sad narrative of being vegan, but what it really is, which is not a big deal. It's awesome and it's great for everything. And next to Dr. Laurie, same question.
Hi, I can be found at a few different places. I'm on pretty much everywhere, Instagram, Facebook. You can make an appointment with any of us at plantbasedtelehealth.com. My other initiative is Healthy Human Revolution. I've had a podcast for about 4 years. A few people here I need AJ to introduce me to so I can interview. And so that's been really fun and exciting. And we're also building resources for people to help them understand how to go to a plant-based diet. We cover all the objectives, or objections people might have, social issues, family, travel. I've been to Uganda, did a missionary trip there for 2 weeks and stuck to a whole food plant-based diet. So I can understand well what you're saying when you were in Kuwait. And you really can, it's just a decision. And so those are the two things. And it's funny you mentioned a children's book. I actually wrote a children's book with my son Jonathan, who had dyslexia. It's a kind of a older childhood, but that was actually while I was in the military, and it actually has a lot of vegan themes. So I think it was just a precursor to what was heading in that direction. But yeah, that's what we're working on. It's healthyhumanrevolution.com and plantbasedtelehealth.com. So
Sweet. And Marina?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook if anybody wants to connect with me. The thing that I'm doing locally, I'm in Columbus, Ohio. The thing that I'm trying to get off the ground and thinking about and putting energy into is an appropriate vegan meetup. And what I mean by appropriate is appropriate for whatever time we're in, this time or a year or two from now, just to get people in the community together and sharing for whatever benefit we can connect with each other. And I believe life is to be shared.
Cool. Will?
Right. Well, I can be found at gettotheroot.healthandwellness.com. That's where we actually, my wife and I, we go together. My wife, she actually does whole food plant-based recipes, put them on there. And these recipes are not just for an individual, but for an entire family. Okay. Anybody that in that family can have it from 2-year-old all the way up to 90 or 100-year-olds, if you like. We also do exercise programs. We feature a live program on every Saturday at 700 hours Eastern Standard Time. But then also the number 2 thing is that I'm finishing up my PhD in health psychology. I tell you, I'm so grateful to the military because I got my master's when I was in the desert deployed, health psychology. And then also I finished up my chapter 5. I'm getting my manuscript reviewed right now for my PhD in health psychology, and I'll be defending that very soon. So I'm looking forward to adding to making sure I can have some credentials there like Dr. Laurie. I'm gonna need some credentials there beside them. When people, seems like you have those letters behind your name, people tend to listen a little more, so we wanted to get some certification back there, so that's how you're gonna find us. Thank you.
And Howard?
Bill, excuse me for interrupting. I just want to show that Howard was featured in this month's Forks Over Knives magazine for reversing his diabetes and his obesity. It's a great magazine. You can see the difference in the physicality, and it's a wonderful story.
Can you have a link to that, Chef, when you post this on YouTube?
Yep, I'm going to have a link to everybody's everything.
Oh, cool, thank you.
Well, as far as getting a hold of me, if you wanted to, my name's kind of rough to remember, so I've got plantpoweredhoward@gmail.com. So I also I'm just starting to work on a blog. It's plantpoweredhoward.com, and we'll see how that goes. I don't know how, I'm just starting it, so there's nothing really there yet. That's about it.
Corinne?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram and on Facebook at Corinne Sutton. Just type in my name, it's easy to find. And then you can also find me on my website at bodyhdfitness.com. So again, like what I do and what I share is, if you go to the website, there's tons of blogs when it comes to recipes, exercises that could definitely help you out. But when it comes to my actual job, I actually help new vegans transition more into a plant-based lifestyle when it comes to personalized and customized workout and meal plans. And everything's done 100% online, but there's tons of accountability, tons of private coaching. We also have other coaches on staff that's 100% vegan as well that can help you out. So we're never undermanned when it comes to my business, and we can definitely help you out, get to where you want to be. If it's just learning about nutrition, if it's losing body fat, if it's building lean muscle mass, maybe you want to compete and show people up and do things that I do, like win some trophies and show a bunch of meat eaters that, hey, you can build muscle on a plant-based diet and flex and be like, bam, like if that's what you want to do and do some of the things like that, just hit me up and I'll help you get there.
Hey, Corinne, people were asking about the sword on your wall, and I explained it was for your clients that refused to go vegan.
Go vegan. It's actually from the win from I think it was like 2 weeks ago, and I did the Ultimate Grand Prix bodybuilding show for the NPC and won first place. So again, just breaking myths and showing people that you can be a champion on a plant-based diet.
Super cool. And Amber?
So I'm just, I'm not even on anything in particular for online presence, but if anybody wants to follow me, I'm on Instagram, Amber, LYN1414. This is she's been vegan all her life, daughter. But if I can promote anything, it would be my best friend. She and her boyfriend, so Reebs and Dylan from Well Your World, they just came out with a whole line of new products, and they're awesome. So I could promote that. And I can also say that I have used Dr. Marbas's services before in the past, and they're great. She's, in particular, she is my doctor when I go. So I appreciate those things.
Cute baby.
You're making another vegan one, aren't you?
Yes.
You have one cooking right now.
Yeah, I'm almost at term. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, she's precious. Well, thanks so much to all of you. Thank you so much, Sergeant Vegan Bill, for hosting this and for asking just the right questions. And we know a few had to go back to work, but we really do appreciate everything you are doing right now with your lives and for the service. And for any veterans watching, whether you're vegan or not, thank you so much for your service. And thanks all of you for watching the show, because how else could we have 300 episodes? So any final closing thoughts, Bill?
Go vegan, stay vegan strong. And I think it takes all of us at maximum effort to make the world a better place. And I'm glad to see that we're all doing something different. We're all veterans, but we are all doing our own thing to separately make the world better. And together, it's awesome that we could come together today and talk about what we're doing. And yeah, it's good that everyone knows who everyone is now, so we can stay in touch and have a blessed day.
Right. Go vegan. Right. Thanks, everyone. Take